The United States military action in Venezuela, which led to the arrest of President Maduro and his transfer to New York to be tried by an American court. As a narco-terrorist, they opened Pandora's box. The above United States action was exploited by the Pakistani Minister of Defense, who, as it appears, was in communication and coordination with Turkey. During a television program, he stated that he would support the arrest of Netanyahu. In a world heading toward inevitable conflict, the Pakistani Minister of Defense cynically urges the abduction of Netanyahu, describing him as the worst criminal. This rhetoric, based on the warrants of the International Criminal Court, serves the dark plans of Erdogan, who remains provocatively silent to secure the F-35Ss. Thus, a fanatic axis of Turkey, Pakistan, Azerbaijan, Qatar is revealed, aiming at the extermination of Israel. Diplomacy has now given way to absolute devastation. The geopolitical chessboard in the nightmarish reality of the Middle East is now set for a fatal confrontation. Iran, trapped between internal collapse and external siege, is launching threats that reek of death. Mohammad Khalibaf made it clear that any American intervention would turn Israel and United States bases into legitimate targets, heralding a regional disaster with no return. At the same time, Donald Trump is fueling the fire, warning of harsh retaliation in the event of a bloody crackdown on protesters. Israel, on high alert, is awaiting the inevitable. While the people of Iran are bleeding in the streets, the regime, blinded by the need for self-preservation, chooses the path of absolute violence. Summary trials and executions are no longer a threat, but the only language it knows, a power that is dying. History seems to have already condemned the region. Freedom, if it comes, will be paid for with the price of absolute blood, while the United States is preoccupied with Venezuela and Greenland. Uprising of the Iranian people against the regime. Syrian government forces, with the support of Turkey, are attacking Syrian Democratic Forces, Kurdish forces in Aleppo, a security force affiliated with the Syrian Democratic Forces, led by the Kurds. She stated that Turkish Bayraktar drones are supporting a military operation by the Damascus government in Aleppo as the fighting continues for the fifth day. The claim appeared in a statement published by the Syrian Democratic Forces on the ECS and was attributed to the internal security forces affiliated with the Syrian Democratic Forces in Aleppo, according to the Turkish media outlet. The statement said that the clashes in Sheikh Massoud were intense and ongoing, and it claimed that the forces allied with the Syrian Democratic Forces destroyed 2 armored vehicles belonging to the Syrian army during what it described as urban warfare to repel advance attempts. On Friday, the Turkish Minister of Defense, Yasar Güler, welcomed the Syrian army's operation in Aleppo, and he stated that Turkey considers Syria's security as its own and supports Syria's fight against what he called terrorist groups. Since then, Syrian security forces have taken control of Astrafagaya and Bani Zaid and began deploying in Sheikh Massoud on Saturday, with at least 22 dead and more than 100 injured. It is well known that Erdogan is currently eager to acquire the F-35 stealth fighters from the United States. This way, he will be able to gain expertise for the domestic fighter KAN, and he will also demand that the first 5 of these fighters, which he paid for before his country was expelled from the program years ago due to the Russian S-400s, be delivered immediately. Specifically, the issue of the Turks acquiring know-how from the F-35S by copying it into the domestic KAN fighter is something that Washington should take very seriously. Does President Erdogan believe that by acquiring the F-35S, combined with the rapid development of his country's defense industry, he will be able to impose his will? Accomplished facts in the Aegean, the South, and the Eastern Mediterranean. For this reason, however, the Turkish press is patronizing the Turkish president, and the acquisition of the American fighters, putting forward various reasons. In this context, in a related article, the International Turkish News Agency mentions, among other things, the delivery to Turkey of the F-35 aircraft, for which it has already paid. Its reintegration into the program is important and necessary for better ties with the United States and NATO's defense, says Erdogan to Bloomberg. on the potential purchase of F-16 Block 70 aircraft from the United States. Erdogan emphasized that Ankara expects the terms to be in line with the spirit of the NATO alliance, using Turkey's purchase of Eurofighter aircraft as an example. Geopolitical fate requires Greece, Cyprus, Israel, and the powerful United States lobbies to prevent at all costs the sale of F-35s to Turkey. If failure is inevitable, security guarantees become vital. At the same time, Athens must implement a Plan B for the immediate acquisition of fighter jets, balancing the Turkish threat. Finally, our country must abandon passivity, taking a leading role by sending military forces to Gaza as a guarantor of regional stability in a land on fire. Our country is accused of double standards in its foreign policy. Social media accounts that appear to originate from the occupied areas of Cyprus, specifically an account called Young Turkish Cypriots, with a fairly large audience. It refers to the statement by Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis on the occasion of the American intervention in Venezuela and the abduction of Nicolas Maduro and his wife, in which he noted that this is not the time to comment on the legality of the actions of the United States. Greek and Greek Cypriot references constantly flood our posts with United Nations resolutions and lectures on international law every time the Turkish Cypriot or the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus is mentioned. And yet, the Prime Minister of Greece openly says that legality does not matter. The double standards speak for themselves. This is the same mentality that saw the Greek Cypriots illegally and unconstitutionally dissolve the Republic of Cyprus in 1963 in a development that brought the situation in Iran back to the global spotlight. A British newspaper, citing intelligence sources, reported that Ayatollah Khamenei, 86 years old, is said to have devised Plan B, an escape plan to Moscow, in case an internal crisis and ongoing protests in progress lead to the collapse of the regime. The report also includes about 20 close associates, among whom are family members and close aides, who will move with them in case she needs to leave Iran. The publication notes that the plan is not only about Khamenei's personal safety, but also about protecting an extensive network of assets that are reportedly connected to him, worth about $95 billion. The plan also includes the possible relocation of Mojtaba Khamenei, the son of the Ayatollah, and considered a possible successor for the position of supreme leader. Moscow's involvement in such scenarios shows the ongoing strategic relationship between Russia and Iran. In any case, mention of an escape plan serves as an indication of the deep political and social crisis that Tehran is facing, at a time when protests and pressures against the regime continue to spark discussions at the international level.
Thank you for watching us. To be the first to receive all the latest updates, like and subscribe to our channel.